Good morning. I'm not sure. I'm still on mute. I can't hear.
Pressing on mute, Jake.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Oh,
We are unmuted.
we are
ready to
unmuted
go.
now. All right.
Sir.
I call to order the Thursday, August 28th, 2025 meeting of the St. Louis County Board of Directors for the Land Bank to order. Ms. Wilson, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Trimble,
Here.
Ms. Jordan, Ms. Horn, Mr. Glantz,
Present.
Mr. Shagog,
Present.
Ms. Grant,
Present.
Ms. Dancy. Mr. Presiding Officer, you have a quorum.
All right. The purpose of today's meeting is to conduct the business of the Land Bank Board, primarily to begin the organization of this body. Before we jump into the items for organization, we will first review the minutes from the meetings of August 7th and August 8th, 2025. I would entertain a motion to accept those minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion, any changes that need to be made to the minutes as presented to us by Ms. Wilson? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. The minutes of August 7th and August 8th, 2025 are adopted. This now moves us on to item number 3, new business. So this is this is going to be, I think, a free-flowing somewhat conversation as we start making some initial decisions. And I want to thank, there were a couple members who did send Ms. Wilson a list of things to consider. What I liked about it is that many of us are thinking along the same lines. There are, there's a certain number of things that we need to get accomplished. And of course, I would just state that we want to get it done as quickly as possible, right? We want to start rocking and rolling, but at the same time, we're also a board of 7 professionals. And we want to get it right. So I'm going to, and everything being deliberative, being really certain about what we're doing so that we measure once, measure twice, cut once, so that we have the policies and things in order so that we can be an effective and successful land bank when we get to the point of starting to.
As a matter of fact, the land banks that start off slowly are the most successful.
Yeah.
Very slow.
Deliberately.
Very small inventories. I've got several examples.
I was like looking at your files. I'm like, I wonder what Jones brought for us today. So with that, I did not structure the agenda like, oh, we're gonna, knock through these things in an exact order. But what we did do is that in the packets that were submitted, Mel did combine the list of the things that were provided by the members. For us to just start going through high level, I think some of the first questions for us to determine is how do we want to meet and when do we want to meet?
Mr. Chair, before you begin, can I just note for all of us to take a note that on the initial work plan discussion, elect officers and
Yes.
time responsibilities, I would like for us to include or add to that or be mindful of the same for the ED.
Yes, executive director. Yes.
Yeah. And because I'm sure that probably needs to be outlined in the bylaws as well.
Yes. I think when we get to that point, one thing I think what we're going to probably want to do is we're probably going to want to put together a little committee or some folks can start to put together a job description and start coming up with ideas on how we want to be recruiting for this job and how we really picture this person being effective from the moment that this individual joins. But there's also some pre-conversation I want to have a little bit about that. Before we leap into saying, oh, we're absolutely going to hire our own executive director immediately, I just want to throw out and be like, are there any other possibilities? Not because I'm not going to say how I feel necessary about it. I just want to make sure that we review options and so that therefore we know that we have, done what we really want to do. But I concur with you. I think we're saying the same thing. So, but that is also something that we will discuss today, the executive director position and how to start moving forward towards that. But if it's fine with the board, I would like to start with meetings, where, when, how would we like to conduct the business? And I'd like to first, before I jump in, I'd like to open it up to you all to hear what you all have to say.
Would it be safe for us to start and ask ourselves, regardless of what the frequency is, that we agree that it's person, virtual?
In person or virtual? I think that is a question before the body, is how do we want to be doing these in person, or do we want to be doing these virtually? Or hybrid, the way that we've been doing them, with an option for both.
I would.
Flexible.
Yeah, I think in-person meetings are very, very helpful. Sure. In today's day and age, I think that's almost impossible to get 7 people in the same place at the same time. So
Yeah.
I would agree. Hybrid. I think it would be better if we're in person, but
Yeah.
give the flexibility. Do hybrid.
You say where, what are the options?
Well, right now, the options are, we've been using here at the county building just because it's for ease of ease. Well, you know, ease of, but ultimately, it's the board's decision. We just have to notice where we're going to be meeting. So we need to be mindful that where we meet needs to be publicly available for folks to be able to get to. And we need to make sure that that we're making that it's publicly noticed properly, so that if it is an in-person meeting, that the folks can get there in person. And ultimately, I believe our goal is going to be that it's also streamed live. I think would be I'm going to posit that's our ultimate goal. Right now, what we're doing is we're recording them and then we're uploading them, which is also acceptable. We're putting that's how we have it described, is that we're recording these for public consumption. But eventually, I assume that we want these also to be live streams for folks to be able to watch.
Does that mean that the planning department have the capability of bringing that technology?
Well, that's
off-site?
That's when I say ease, that's one of the things. It's like here in the building right now, we have a space where we know we have video capacity right now in our, we have staff that is supporting the board I don't want to say unofficially, but sort of temporarily, we've got planning department staff that is supporting the board's, administrative operations until we get off the ground. So that's when I say ease, that's really what I'm meaning, despite the parking situation to get into the building.
So preferably any off-site location, probably be equipped already.
That's right.
Virtual options.
That's right.
Transportation. It's a little self-serving because it's in Creek Court. It's convenient. Does a transportation building, is that convenient? Does that have the same?
1050, like on Lindbergh, 1050 Lindbergh. They have a training room. I'd have to go to 1050 and take a look at it. 1050 is a county building. It's the transportation department's headquarters off Lindbergh.
It's Lindbergh, just north.
Olive.
Not a very problem.
Has Lindbergh opened yet, or are they still doing a lot of construction? It's a mess.
So that would be, I could connect with Stephanie Leon Streeter. She's the Director of Transportation Public Works. I would have to ask and make sure that she would be okay with us using that. I'm assuming that for you, what you're saying is that it's easier to park there. They have a surface parking lot that's not like trying to park in downtown Clayton. So there is an ease of parking there. It is more central in the county. Although most of us, I live in U City, a lot of us, you live in Creve Coeur, I live in U City, you live in U City, you live in Hazelwood, you live in U City, you live in Wellston
Probably.
and Brentwood. So we're all kind of like north to central county.
That center would be nice.
Yeah, I was about to offer, you can use the Met Center and on Plymouth Avenue. We also have business incubators at Wellston, right up the street, and right near the county facility at 1100 Corporate Square, which is 100 yards away from 1050 North Lindbergh. So
Thank you for the comments. Would you please, for the record, state your name and your zip code?
Yep. William Buddy, Assistant Vice President of Real Estate at the Partnership, zip code 63105.
Thank you.
Nice. Also option.
So what I'm hearing is there may be two options, 1050, the Met Center. What I'm wondering is whether we should assign somebody to contact those two, maybe take a look at those two spaces. Are you capturing this,
Yep.
Ms. Wilson? So Member Skog is going to discuss about the Met Center. Member Trimble, I will contact the Department of Transportation and Public Works about the location at 1050.
We think that it's necessary for us to meet more than just once a month at this point.
I could say maybe the week. Wow. Yeah, hopefully once a month.
Hopefully, there will come a point where I believe that once a month is going to be a standard cadence for the board. I'm wondering whether some of the work plan for today, because I think that we're going to have to delegate tasks to each of us to be doing. And so, if we're only doing it if we're only coming back together once a month, we could elongate some of these processes. Of course, we can also create committees to be answering these questions, and then it would be up to those committees to meet and determine their meeting cadence. So, but for now, let's talk about just the standard meetings of the board. We do need to, at bare minimum, have one meeting per month, which you could call that the standard board meeting. If that is something that the board finds would be a good organization, that would be, no matter what, we always meet once a month. And then from there, we can fill in the gaps of how we want to proceed. Does that sound workable to the board? All right. So I'm going to go ahead, Member Glantz.
I like the once a month, but at this early juncture, is that enough? Can we lose momentum?
Yes, I think you're right. So I think that if we set a once a month, like as our standard, that becomes the standard meeting here in the middle. And then we sort of maybe start filling in these every other week, kind of what I'm thinking is let's set for us the long-term vision of we want to meet the fourth Thursday of the month at 5 p.m., whatever the time is. And then from there, we'd be like, but from now through December 31st, we're going to meet every other week in between those to conduct business. And then in January, we'll reassess how that looks.
And I was just thinking, with all due respect, I wonder if we set twice a month meetings through the end of the year, if there's nothing to discuss or very little,
We can just cancel the meeting.
cancel.
I think that's a great, why don't we do that? If that's the will of the board, I shouldn't, if that's amenable to the board.
I agree.
Okay, so we will through December, we will set a meeting for every other week. When works well for folks. I will throw out Monday nights and Tuesday nights are tough. Monday night is planning commission, and our planning commission meets somewhere between 2 and 3 times a month. And then Tuesday nights are St. Louis County Council, and I do attend the St. Louis County Council meeting. So Mondays and Tuesdays are tough for me. If we're doing it in the evening, I'm supposing evening meetings.
Wednesday, Thursday evening. But during the day, it's pretty much flexible.
Okay, I will let you all know that I consider this basically a part of my job right now. So I can make days available if that can be available for me.
Days work for me as well. And I'm not sure if we decided, I definitely would prefer hybrid.
Yes, absolutely. Because I'm very aware of your ongoing trips to Dallas,
Thank you.
and for anybody that's has an issue.
And I think early mornings.
Early mornings. Okay. I can make that work.
I mean, like, I'm sorry, like now, like not midday.
Not 7 AM,
No,
but
no,
like,
not 7 a.m.
like a 9
But
AM.
9 a.m. is fine.
Thursday mornings actually work for me. Like this time is good.
Thursday, 9 AM.
It's not here.
Yeah. So
Thursday mornings, 9 AM. or 12
Okay. All right. So I believe that we have now set Thursday mornings at 9 AM every other week. So Ms. Wilson, would you bring up the calendar? So that we can now just state the dates.
Could we, instead of doing every other week, could we do like second and I'm just throwing out like the first and third, second and fourth.
That's also, that would make it where there wouldn't be a month with 3. So that would just make it where each month has 2. Does that work for everybody? Just making it like a first and a third?
That sounds good.
All right.
First Thursday is first next week.
So then let's make
Labor
it,
Day, second, fourth.
let's make it the 2nd and the 4th. So date wise, that's going to mean that we will meet at 9 AM on Thursday, September 11th. We will meet at 9 AM on Thursday, September 25th. We will meet on Thursday, October 9th. We will meet on Thursday, October 23rd. We will meet on Thursday, November 13th. We've got to make a decision for Thanksgiving. Land-based Thanksgiving.
My guess is late in November and December, I can tell you.
Yeah. Would we, by that point, should we say that for the holidays that we're going to just do one meeting in November? Okay. So then the second Thursday in December is going to be December 11th. And then the 4th would have been Christmas. And so then that would have also, so that gets us through December.
Just a hearing.
And I have a conflict on the 11th as well.
Okay. I mean, I have a,
September 11th.
right. So, and you all know that I am taking a vacation, so I'm actually going to miss the 2 meetings in September because I'm going to be overseas. Now I may, well, no, the 11th I will be on the trail, so that I cannot do. But the 25th I may call in because I will be with Bell Service on the 25th.
Can we reschedule the 11th or?
Well, I will simply, for me, I will leave that to the board. We're at a point where as long as we have a quorum, as long as there are at least 4 members, they can keep the business going.
Well, there's gonna be, sounds like there's 3 of us that are.
And that would leave.
That would leave 4, which is right. That means that it's a possibility. It's also just suboptimal. This is the most fun part of these kinds of things. Well, in some ways, I will leave it to, would you all like to move the meeting of the 11th to the 10th or the 12th? That would be a Wednesday or Friday.
That Wednesday works for me.
Doesn't work for me because my hearings are on Wednesday and Thursday.
You're on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I can't say I could do Friday.
So you could do Friday, you could do Friday. Can you do Friday, Member Grant?
What time will we be done? I have an appointment at 11:30. As long as we're done before that, it should be fine.
I would say that these meetings, probably need to be done after a couple of hours, just because. And then also, it's also the prerogative of a member to be able to excuse themselves from a meeting early if they have personal or other obligations that force them to leave a meeting early.
Okay, perfect. That works.
All right.
The 12th is good.
So it has been moved, the meeting from the 11th has been moved to the 12th at 9 a.m. So Ms. Wilson, have you gotten these all down?
Yes, September the 12th, September the 25th, October the 9th, October 23rd, November 13th, and December 11th, all at 9 a.m.
All right.
I'm sorry, we moved the September meeting to the 12th.
That's correct.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was looking at December, but that still works.
That still works. Okay, great.
Is somebody gonna send these calendar? invites
Yes.
out?
So Ms. Wilson will send out Outlook events for these meetings. And also we'll send out just like a list after this meeting out to the members.
And I'll make sure that at least, I'll coordinate with the Med Center to try to see if that place will be conducive for us for these, meetings in September.
Okay. And I will speak with our Department of Transportation and Public Works. We will also have hybrid options. So what we've been using for our hybrid option right now is we've been using the counties, mine and Mel's personal, our work as county employees, teams is what we've been using. So we will need to investigate to make sure that is how we would, continue to do so until the board has its own. At some point in the future, we will have our own system.
Now, go ahead.
Starting in January, we'll meet on the second Thursday.
So that would be, my thing is that in December would probably be the time that the board would decide its organization for January and, through into 2026. Is that acceptable? It would be at the meeting in December that we would then set 2026.
I think sooner, because I think like most of us, our 2026 calendars are probably already in out before New Year,
Okay.
before the holidays.
Mhm. Okay. Well, then do we want to set a standard of, then becomes where the board can answer, does it want to, starting in January, set one meeting per month? Or do we want to continue the cadence of the second and fourth Thursdays, just into later into the year? And then we can drop, it would be easier to drop than add, I suppose.
I like that. I like that.
Excuse me, I was just saying, if you would maybe by October. So to do.
Okay.
Sorry, Ms. Ivy.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was saying, I think I like the cadence of keeping it, and it's easier to eliminate if we don't need the meeting set. Because like Farrakhan said, our calendars fill up, and at least we know that's the consistent schedule we'll meet, going forward.
Okay.
I agree with that. I'd
Okay.
rather have 2 a month, and then we can always drop one if need be.
Okay. Seems like we're coming to a general consensus. So we are going to continue the cadence of meetings on the second and fourth indefinitely. At which point the board can, when we realize that perhaps the workload has reduced and we can change that cadence, we can do so. Does that comport with the discussion that we've had?
Sounds
Do you need a motion to adopt the schedule?
Yes, I would entertain a motion to adopt the meeting cadence of 9 a.m. on the second and fourth Thursdays of the month, excluding excluding the September meeting and the November and December meeting, during which we will have one meeting.
So I move that we accept the the meeting cadence schedule as presented.
Second.
Any additional discussion about meeting cadence? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any who are opposed? The ayes have it. We have a meeting schedule, Cadence, and we will be meeting. That's right. Like, that, I'm honestly not surprised by that.
Baby steps.
It's much easier to walk onto a board that already has a cadence and you just conform your life to that rather than. So that's great. So I appreciate, because we all recognize that this is a working board for a good long while. So we will be meeting, we've got the cadence, we will be having hybrid, and then Mr. Shagag will be looking at the Met Center and I will be looking at 1050. So we've established that. One of the things as well is I want to make sure that we have from each member the email and the phone number that you would like to use as in your sort of official capacity, knowing that there will come a point at which we will probably want to have a land bank authority web emails, so then that will become easier for us as an agency, but that's going to be, I think, multiple steps or multiple months down the line before we get to that point. So has everybody given Ms. Wilson your telephone number and the email that you would like to have used as your official, for your official capacities as a board member?
Missing any note?
I think I need yours, Ms. Horn, and yours, Mr. Shagag.
Telephone numbers.
Telephone number. I have everyone's email that I've been using. And then for the two new members, I just took the cell phone number from your application. I think most of these are people's cell phone numbers, but whatever number you prefer to be on the contact list, I can swap it if it's an office line or a home number.
Eliminating any formality, can I just give it to you? 314? Sure. 412? 8936.
Mine is 911. Line 793.
Whoa. Oh, okay. 314.
3272.
Okay. Then I think I have everyone's, but if you don't want it to be your cell phone number,
Thank you.
update it at any time.
And Ms. Wilson will send out a list for us so that we have each other's cell phone numbers in case there are any issues or anything that we need to chat about. So great, got that. Working through other items on this list, I want to talk about officers, but I want to talk about that in a little bit. I want to talk about some other things before we get to officers. I had a discussion with Rachel Waterman from thank you, of Eastern Missouri. And she graciously offered to come to the board and give a presentation to us so that all of us have a baseline table setting understanding of land banking, how it came to be, how it works, and the powers and authorities, responsibilities that this board has. And so I would like to invite Ms. Waterman and anyone that she would like to bring along with her to present to this board at a subsequent meeting, and she has agreed to do so. But I want to open it up and make sure that board members are find that to be.
Yeah, I mean, they're the reason we have this.
That's right.
They wrote the legislation. We had for 4 years, there was a working group every other Friday that met, and it's the Land Bank Coalition. So yeah, they're very, very qualified.
Great.
More than anybody else. They have videos, all kinds of presentations, slideshows. They presented to the county council a couple of times. They just seen their presentation. And so
I agree.
I think September 25th.
I agree.
The 25th, the meeting of the 25th.
You're going to be out of town.
I am. That one I'm going to try to be hybrid for that one, because in that case I will be in a city. My vacation will be ending. I will probably be like, I want to get back to work. I love work too much. So that one I intend to be a part of hybrid. But Ms. Waterman, when I spoke with her, she indicated that whatever date we said we wanted to invite her, she would make herself available. So she said, just go ahead, set the date, set the time, put me on it, and she will make that what she does that whenever we do that. Does that work? That makes the agenda for the 25th pretty easy. Because that will be, in essence, the entirety of that meeting will be training and discussion with Legal Services of Eastern Missouri and any invitees that she wants to bring. So I would entertain a motion to invite Ms. Walker.
I'm sorry. I have a question just really quick. If you don't have an agenda for the next meeting yet, would it be beneficial to have her at the very first one to kind of then set the tone for the rest of our agendas potentially?
I leave that open to members if there's any additional thought on that.
You won't be available.
That's right. I won't be. And that's something that we will want to talk about how
On the 12th, you won't be there.
I won't be there.
Oh, okay. I guess I thought
But I
that's
will be there on the 25th.
Friday. Okay. Okay, so no, I agree to keep it when you are available to be there. Absolutely.
All right, so we have a first and a second to invite Ms. Waterman on the 25th. Is there any additional discussion?
I'm sorry, who were the first and the second?
The first was Mr. Shigog. Was it Mr. Glantz? No, I apologize. No, all right, well then, I would, to clear it up, I would entertain a motion to invite Ms.
So moved.
All right, we've got a first,
Second.
we've got a second with Ms. Jordan. Any additional discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Our agenda is essentially set for the 25th, and Mel, we will be reaching out. I or you will be reaching out to Ms. Waterman. I know she's actually on vacation. She's out on the trail right now. She's a hiker apparently. So so when she gets back, she'll have that waiting for her, that invitation and that ask from us. So moving on to the next item that I have that I'd like to bring up is board bylaws. So in your packets that were provided to you, I submitted to you all a set of draft bylaws. I received this set of draft bylaws from Ms. Waterman, who has been working with another individual with the community, the Center for Community Progress.
They've got a whole land bank section, and dummies all over the
Well,
country.
yes, they have, absolutely.
They've done all over the country.
So they worked on it looking at the state enabling statutes and the county's ordinance, and they produced this draft. I would encourage the board to really dig into these, not necessarily in this meeting, but I do think that this warrants us to look really, really intently at. And I would like perhaps for us to have a subcommittee or a committee of folks that would like to look at this and come up with a recommendation for the full board's consumption. But I'd like to open it up to how you all would like to do it.
So I think we definitely, our attorney should be on that, whatever that subcommittee is. And
I'm ready, willing, and
our head it up, there you go.
Does that sound like, go ahead, Ms. Grant.
I got a chance to kind of look over it and read through it. I think they're very straightforward, not really hard to read through. My opinion, I don't think we would need a committee for that. Just from, reading through it, they're not that long. There were a few things that I did see in there that I had questions about. But I think it could be something we could revisit at the next meeting, if everybody has a chance to read through it on their own and we could just accept it and move on from it.
How do others feel about the adoption process? I'm open to.
Well, most of us have not read through, not been as diligent as Ivy is here and doing our homework, so I still appreciate it.
September 12th, that's the day, or is it an agenda for September 12th?
There's not yet an agenda for September 12th.
It's the time, and that'd be the thing we kind of work through this, and then if we need a committee beyond that.
Okay, that's completely reasonable. So since I will not be there, I will actually perhaps if the board is willing, I will create my own written comments to give to the board so that you all have my my thoughts as a board member, if that's amenable to everybody. And then that can be the work plan for the next meeting is to ensure that the bylaws are aligned with the goals of the organization.
So they, I'm sorry, so this was drafted based on the law that they drafted?
So these
That they drafted?
So these were created by looking at multiple other land bank authorities, bylaws, and then also making sure that they comport with Missouri laws and the St. Louis County ordinance. So it's uniquely tailored to us, but these bylaws are also based on on the bylaws of other boards that are similar to ours.
There are a couple places here where I see they're asking for confirmation with both state law and to make sure that the proper county official is designated here.
Mhm.
Beyond us,
Yeah.
is there someone with the county
Mhm.
that looks
Would
at this
review
and
this.
says that is the correct person or?
The answer to that is no, in the sense because we are an independent board. And a question for us in the future is going to be, how do we want to get our own legal representation? Because the county counselor's office is not our legal representation. So now I, as the director of planning, know, like, I know, so I will put some comments in here about, well, this is going to be this person. But that's also like as we're standing this up, making sure that we have a legal advisor that's advising us specifically is going to be of value to us at some point in the near term future. I think we're, especially when we get to the point of having and sort of disposing of properties, we're most assuredly want to make sure that we have a very strong compliance and understanding of law.
Do we pay rent to your department for using the space?
No, this
You
is.
didn't get the invoice?
No, so, but that's why, that we have to keep things separate in terms of, because we will have a budget here for this authority for us as an organization. Right now, we're at the county doing this just to make sure that we have, a successful landing pad to sort of, until we get launched.
So our agenda really for that first meeting in September is basically.
Yeah, would be bylaws discussion.
I don't know.
No, I don't. No. You're right. I was like, there's one way is just to move through it.
If it all makes sense, because I think a major component of the bylaws is these roles and responsibilities of officers. So if we can do the same thing that we do with bylaws, with these officers, things of that nature, can hash those two out in that meeting as well. I think that, yeah, then we feel it like,
So
include the executive director, because that's the only way they don't have the description.
that one, right. And that one is, I think someone is going to want how that operates probably for several organizations and sort of come up with how we.
And again, there are samples. We're not starting.
That's right.
There are samples that would again be adjusted for Missouri law and county charters. So
Right.
don't have to start with a piece of paper anymore. I'm sure.
That's right.
We probably don't want to put too much about an executive director into the bylaws.
Yeah,
We don't want to make them part of the overall governance
right.
because they will be an employee.
Mhm.
And so we want to make sure that we don't put too much.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Executive director serves.
The pleasure of the board.
The pleasure of the board.
So that's.
Yeah. That's right. The job description of the executive director will be its own standalone.
Yeah.
Its own standalone document.
Yeah, but it's just, okay, I guess we'll say this for next week. But the bylaw just doesn't say Or it doesn't mention anything about executive at all.
Well, in the bylaws, in the section where it talks about, so it briefly discusses that the board is responsible for hiring, and it mentions briefly in there about executive directors. And I think too, just us remembering that we can always amend them by majority vote as we go forward if we decide. But right now, this is just the basic governance of how the board will work, because it'll be policies attached to the executive director and what their exact role is.
Mhm. Right. Were you gonna say something?
I think, Member Grant covered the gist of what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
The board is empowered to run the entity.
Yeah.
And that includes hiring personnel.
Mhm.
Let's see.
I know it was qualified today, the chair to set up a calendar financial procedures.
I concur with that. But I flag that as something that we are going to need to be considering.
We have a banker in our midst, so have a committee that with the banker can help us out with that line here. And it's
One basic thing that we may want to set up sooner rather than later is the creation of our bank account so that we can get the appropriation. There's $1 million seed appropriation for this authority. So we will want to create that account so that the treasurer of St. Louis County can then ensure that those monies are in our possession.
we need to incorporate ourselves.
That's a really good question. And I actually asked that to Rachel, and she indicated she didn't believe that we needed to. But I wanted to dive into that a little bit. Is that, do we need to go to the state and create and have some sort of, you're right.
Possibly not, because we are created by statute.
That's, and I think that must be,
Yeah.
Rachel's an attorney.
Yeah, and so it says public body, corporate, and politic created under the laws of the state of Missouri. So that kind of gives you,
We can establish a checking account.
you should be able to.
From a very nuts and bolts perspective, how does that work? Jacob, like Christina Dancy walks into US Bank to open our account. What do you need?
Well, it depends. So I don't know the answer. The bank might require something else because the account would be under St. Louis County, right? It would be St. Louis County. And
It would be because we are an independent body politic, we will get better at these and understanding the differences, but we are not St. Louis County. We are a separate entity.
so it would not be.
Correct. It would not be. So that's why the county wants us that the treasurer will give us the money, but once it's in our account, it's our responsibility to make sure that we are comporting ourselves in a.
For instance, how does the housing resource, or how do they do it? How's their checking account? They just probably do whatever they do to kind of submit a time.
That may be, we may want to look at them. We may want to look at the Boundary Commission, because then Michelle Doherty, I don't know if any of you know Michelle, she's the executive director of the Boundary Commission. And this goes into some of the more of the personnel things. They don't really have money. They have what do you do as an independent board to hire somebody? They contract with the county to at least do like benefits and stuff, because we're going to have to answer those questions about how we're going to ensure that we provide benefits to any of our staff.
Do we already have a separate tax?
For this body? No.
So I know if you go and are we considered nonprofit? What are we considered? What is this body considered?
Yeah, we're a governmental body. Yeah.
What is it? I'm sorry.
Like a political subdivision, probably. Because we are governed by the rules of, open meetings and things like that.
Yeah,
So
right.
it is a political subdivision or something closely related to a political subdivision.
That's right.
We may need to establish an entity with the state of Missouri.
That's what I,
I was
just some,
thinking
right,
that.
there's something to create those numbers, something that can,
Trace back to the board, trace back and attach to the, because so the normal process for a bank account, you need some type of formation document.
Right.
Officers listed, you need, we'll have to show bylaws, who has control, who can be signers,
right,
who has the authority to remove signers, deputy account, and all the things. We'll have to establish that
Yep.
for the bank, along with the tax ID.
Exactly, yeah.
How would a city get that?
A city will have its charter, a city would have a tax ID number, so they could, and they'll have bylaws as well that says what the city has the authority to act on behalf of the city for the bank. So they would already have this document.
So for an organization like this, is it the ordinance?
yeah, is it the ordinance? That's like, it would be our charter, but then, like, we would still need to get, like, someone would still need to give us a tax ID number.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know.
tax ID number. The question is whether or not an ordinance equates to formation docs for the state of Missouri. They might, but we need to verify that. I don't know
But we need to verify that. So I appreciate this because it's helping to daylight some of the things we're gonna have to get accomplished before we walk into a bank. But I'm thinking that this probably is a task that needs to be delegated to somebody to start making these calls.
I'd be happy to do that. yes.
Okay, so Ms. Wilson, please make sure that this is correctly reflected. Ms. Dancy is, and let's make sure that, I don't want to leave you ambiguous. Let's be real clear about what it is that we're asking a member to do. We're asking to contact the state of Missouri about the,
Keep it broad based, do
Yeah.
whatever, gather the information that's necessary for us to be a bankable entity.
okay,
I do have a question. Can we look at some of the other bodies that have bank accounts and things to see how, what it benefits? We don't want to spend a lot of money in fees.
that's right.
It may not be US Bank, it might be Commerce. I want to understand how the other
Yeah,
these type of accounts, how are they doing their thing?
yeah.
Perhaps you could put her in contact with them.
The Boundary Commission with, yeah.
Housing authority.
I think another entity, maybe just to be in touch with the county's treasurer and sort of, ask some, sit down and ask him some questions about this stuff so that we get really knowledgeable about it. So I'm willing to, like you and I have a discussion and then go from there. Is the board, we'll delegate it. The answers will come for you, will be reports from you, questions asked of you. But beforehand, let's chat about that.
And I'll look at, I represent a lot of special taxing districts, and they're created either by court order or by a municipal or county ordinance. And I open bank accounts for them. Can't remember how.
I just look, how long ago was it?
In the last, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, then a lot has changed.
And we get tax ID numbers for them and, things like that. So I will look to see.
And can I encourage the two of you to be in contact about this as well? So that, because it sounds like we have two individuals that have pieces of this puzzle already sort of in your, how this should play out. If that works for the two of you, okay, great. And then I'll still chat with maybe the three of us, just have a conversation about that. So would you now, and is it the board that we would like to have answers on this by the next meeting or by the following meeting? I don't want to elongate it, but at the same time, I don't want to say you've got 2 weeks to answer a lot of important questions.
Say by the end of September, because we don't have any deadlines or anything funding.
That's correct. The money will just sit there until we accept it. So we will reflect that as one of the items for the agenda on September 25th.
have Rachel on the 25th, maybe. October 9th. Yeah, we could do both. She's not.
I have updates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do both.
And then if it needs to get pushed, say, but then at least having a deadline of answering, having these questions answered in a month would be desirable. So far we, all right. So we had on here identifying needed committees. I'm not sure whether we want to wait for that, to wait a few months to see how things start playing out and setting up, or is that something we want? And this is, I think this is important, but I'm just not sure whether we want to dive into setting up standing committees today or not.
I see how things play out.
Yeah. So I say let's leave this on our, to be determined, the to be determined portion of our work. And I feel the same for this next one, which is that's to me when we start having fun, when we start answering these questions, which is, how are we going to acquire and dispossess property? To me, those become the fun questions. I would like for us to wait before we dive into that because we still have so many nuts and bolts questions in front of us. If that's something that is amenable to the board, that'll be the fun stuff. I also want to announce, it was completely unasked for by this board, but I knew this board was being created months ago. So my team I had 2 students who actually looked at this question from merely, and I want to say this is just as a student project, merely from a sort of technical sense of the selection process for the land bank board. They created a presentation. They said, you could do all these things based on the data that we know about St. Louis County. And I just want to say that our students won an award yesterday for that work. So they won an award for outstanding student project. And I would love to show the board that at some point, just to show you what the students came up with.
That's pertaining to how the properties are acquired,
How they're acquired and selecting them. What their specific project was, how do we select the properties before we acquire them? What's the method? And they used a data-driven approach to come up with a project. So hopefully it's also data and it's also stuff that this board will be able to use and be like, this is great. Then let's start layering on all these other things we want to do as we go through this. But that, I think we want to push that to a time when we actually have the ability to really get into the weeds on that.
Yeah, I would, speaking of that, I think this question comes with, I guess, this as well. Did we ever get the clarity about the municipalities versus unincorporated?
Be more specific.
Because the properties were the top 20 or something from certain municipalities, but it didn't include
The unincorporated.
unincorporated.
That only is about the selection of the resident representatives. So for the resident representatives, for the 2 board members that we select, they have to reside in one of the top 20 municipalities. These representatives cannot live in an unincorporated St. Louis County. But when we get to actually acquiring and disposing of properties, we have the authority across the entirety of the county. This is the county's only land bank. No municipality can create one. We have authority within the territorial limits of the municipalities and the unincorporated areas.
Just curious.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sidewalk.
Go ahead.
How does that play, or how is that in either continuity or in alignment with, let's just say, for example, Port Authority, LCRA, any other?
You mean the structure of the board, or?
No, as far as disposition, acquisition or disposition of properties. So
Like, what's the difference between us and like the Port Authority's ability to
Yeah.
operate?
They properties from them transfer to the land bank, or is that like?
No,
totally separate?
They are a totally separate entity. But I like the question, and I don't fully know, just like, I can't the exact answer, but just as an information piece, I think that would be, something of, just for, as a knowledge piece, would be good for us to know, how our cousin at the Port Authority, and the difference between how they own and dispose of properties versus how we own and dispose of properties.
Yeah, and the only reason why I'm bringing, and I'll put myself in the shoe of president, right? These are questions that we go public and start these, I see listening sessions, public engagement and stuff like that. I know these questions come. What's the difference between y'all and them?
No, that's a fair, so we would want to make sure that we understand the difference. So, I wonder, and I can ask, so when I reach out, on behalf of the board to Ms. Waterman, I can ask whether it may be outside of her, she'd be like, Jacob, I'm not an expert on how the Port Authority, but I can at least ask her to start from there. And if it's not, then we can also reach out directly to the Port Authority. And perhaps, have a conversation with them to determine, but I would say we can determine that at a future date, but putting that on the list of things that we want to know more about.
Actually, when this with the last bullet point.
Begin exploring partnerships.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I feel like these 4 bullet points at the end are like the fun stuff that we really want to dive into, but we just right now don't have the time, or we're just, quite frankly, we're not ready yet I'm going to argue that we're not ready yet. We'll get there. Hopefully I'm imagining by sometime after the new year, spring, we're like ready to start really answering these questions.
Did we finalize this by electing some officers?
I would like to then move to the discussion of officers. So this did not get into your packets, but what I created and each of you should have everyone got this, right?
Except perhaps Ivy.
Oh, and
But I can
Ivy,
forward it.
right, please do forward it to Ivy. And this was, and this actually, I appreciated it because this was this was Member Grant's, one of the things that she had wanted to make sure that we discuss, which is what is the role of the officers of the board? And if you looked through the bylaws, it does name our officers. It names a chair, it names a vice chair, it names a treasurer. It also names a secretary, which is not created under ordinance, is not required under ordinance, but we have the authority, so should we so choose, to have a secretary of the board if we would like. I leave that discussion can be for the establishment of a secretary, because fundamentally what's happening right now is Ms. Wilson is operating essentially as our administrative officer and our secretary, making sure that all of our agendas, minutes are published, the videos are up, everything's noticed correctly, everything's, legally being that we at least have documentation of everything we've done. So she is operating right now as our secretary in her capacity as an administrative officer. But that is a board decision whether we want to have an actual elected secretary. I would argue we don't necessarily need it. I think in a lot of ways I've been on boards where secretaries, if they have an administrative officer or what would fundamentally happen to the executive director, the roles and responsibilities of the secretary fall to that individual. So it just then becomes another,
I'm
officer.
prepared to propose a slate of officers.
I would like to establish officers today, so I want to throw that out there to the members, but I would like to talk a little bit about the roles of each officer before we do so, if that's amenable to you, member.
Well, it is, but I see them, they're pretty standardized.
They are.
Across boards.
Yes.
So, discussion.
I concur that what's in the bylaws, and then this is just kind of like a beefed up sort of version. The idea being that the chair, just like those chairs, presides over meetings, ensures that the body is having a productive conversation, that everybody has an opportunity to be a part of the discussion and part of the decision making. That the chair has the responsibility to the board of keeping the board on task with its agenda, that individual takes on the responsibility if and when there are cases where there needs to be a spokesperson for the board. The chairperson takes on that role and responsibility with the support of their colleagues on the board. A pretty standard role. The bylaws as drafted essentially name the chair as the chief executive officer of the board. The vice chair also serves in the stead of the chair. The vice chair serves as a partner and works in collaboration with the chair, as an advisor to the chair, can lead leads special committees and important projects, pretty standard that we see across boards. And then the treasurer operates as our chief financial officer, leading the creation of the board's budget, of the organization's budget, making sure that we stay in financial compliance. The one that has access to to our accounts, that can make sure that everything's looking the way it needs to be, working with whoever our executive director is, to make sure that we're maintaining appropriate accounting responsibilities. I mean, the sort of traditional roles of each of the officers. I want to give the board members I personally am, but I want to give other members the opportunity to talk before, if there's any other thoughts or any sort of concerns or anything that needs additional clarity.
The proposed, I have perfect slate here.
I do have a quick question, and I haven't reviewed the bylaws, but is there term limits for
1 year.
1 year for each?
That's correct. And that is enumerated in the ordinance. The ordinance does name the time frame as 1 year for the officers. So these would be renominated or new folks, on an annual basis.
So that's the term, but is there a term limit?
There is not an ordinance. That would be a determination of the board that we could name through its bylaws, whether we want to or not.
Yes.
So the term of being an officer is 1 year. There are not term limits in our current, in the ordinance. We could establish that if we so chose. Of which we all know there's benefits and there's downfalls to both. There's no perfect option in the world ever.
There's a temporary chair, yes, chair. Jordan is vice chair, and I will nominate Stephen Nancy as our trainer.
So I have a motion on the floor for myself, Jacob Trimble, to be chair for.
If I may, you would just be accepting nominations. The nomination itself is not a motion.
Oh, okay.
You would accept all nominations.
Thank you, Ms. Administrative Officer. I accept the nomination of Jacob Trimble as chair, Karen Jordan as vice chair, Christina Dancy as treasurer of the board. Ms. Administrative Officer, can you remind me of the Roberts rules?
So then nominations remain open. Other members can make nominations. Just generally, I'll give you the Cliff's Notes of Robert's rules. Self-nominations are permissible. Nominations don't have to be seconded. A member could be nominated for a different position than what is already said. And then you would reiterate the names of the nominees and then a motion to vote that slate up or down.
Okay.
Does it mention that in the process, at what point in time do persons nominated accept their nomination?
If a member can rise and decline a nomination, if they so choose.
They so choose.
Is that So
I think it would,
I'd be immediate.
Yeah.
I think it would be, I think it would be, you would, if there were an individual that wanted to decline their nomination, you would want to say, right now, after a member, said that, you would want to say, I decline the nomination, I believe. Is that correct?
yes.
So I will have to decline the nomination. The bank allows me to be on a finance committee, but not be the treasurer. So
Understood.
Well, I have a nomination. I would like to nominate Christina to be the chair, Karen to be the treasurer, and then Jacob to be the vice chair. Can I explain at this time, or do we have to make a motion and then have discussion?
Would you say again your nomination for treasurer?
Karen.
Okay, thank you.
Can we have discussion right now, or do I need to?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reasoning behind, so I think that is going to be very important going forward, even in our bylaws, to protect the integrity of the board. And Jacob, you have done an excellent job, but because you work for St. Louis County, I personally wouldn't want any conflicts of interest as we move forward with the land bank, so just to protect the integrity, because we'll also be talking to the community, and just to protect what that may look like and the fact that you're an employee by St. Louis County.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that perspective, Ivy. I really do. Because I think it's really important that we ensure that this board builds public trust from the very beginning. So I appreciate that. I genuinely appreciate that perspective.
And I do, thanks.
Yes. Yes. And then Karen, I know you have financial background, so that's why I said treasurer. And then Christina, I know you're just great at leadership, so I think so.
No, I appreciate that, Ivy. I would also like to make some comment, but I'd like to make sure that other board members have the opportunity to discuss as well. I will state that I would like to be the chair. Why I would like to be the chair and why I would like to be in that role is I am committed to making this a part of my day-to-day work. And that the county's new comprehensive plan, St. Louis County 2050, this board is one of the sort of important tools that I believe will help us revitalize community. And that's the core of the work that we're doing here on the board. And that I have a desire and a commitment to make this something that I'm doing not just in my nights and weekends, but this is something that I want to make part of my day-to-day work. So that's where I would like to be the chair. And that's where I would like to, and I think that Christina would be an incredible chair, and so no matter what the board does, this is another one of those cases where I don't think we can lose. So I don't want to, I just want to state that out very clearly that I think that we can't make a wrong decision here. But I would request also to be the chair as well. So.
I'll add to the discussion. I mean, the elephant in the room is right. If I'm elected, you see, I would be rolling on. I don't want to disrupt being chair, and then that is disrupting the continuity of what we're trying to build. So I graciously nomination for chair because I still might be around if I don't get elected. I'll still be around.
Chair.
We can talk about it.
I could treasurer, but could be
Yeah.
vice chair.
That might be an
And
option.
Karen could be treasurer.
That would be fine with me. Apparently, right now, it seems like I'm nominated for vice chair and treasurer.
And that was before
Yeah.
Christina said she had,
I understand.
because of her job. That was.
Yeah, I'd like to to offer then permutation that Jacob be chair, Christina vice chair, and Karen treasurer.
It does not need a second. Correct. Do we call for a vote?
So now
What comes next?
the presiding officer would restate the nominations for each officer position, and then we would do a roll call vote. And each member would indicate who they want to vote for. As it stands right now, if I'm correct, there's only one nomination for treasurer. So unless Ms. Jordan declines that nomination, that doesn't need to be voted on. She would just be,
By acclamation.
by acclamation would become the treasurer. But after nominations are closed.
Right, and nominations are not yet closed. Because I want to make sure that everybody has a very robust opportunity to, because I am, no matter what, because I mean it when I say we can't lose. This is a team of 7 really great folks. And also, I am committed to making sure that the culture of this body is collaboration and openness with each other, no matter what happens.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
And Christina, you don't need to answer this if you don't want to. And I take a half step back. We have like 7 adult people. Feel really fortunate to be a part of it. What, Christina, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. I've just, and we discussed it even in your interview. Tell me, can you rehash again what your thoughts are as far as running for University City Council?
Council, yes, so, the final decision has been made and application isn't due until, I think first week of December. But then I will run the elections actually in April. And so if I'm elected, I know at that point, I know who will be eligible to sit on this board.
I'm sorry, is it your intention that City Council's fine?
I want to state that this is a public meeting.
Yeah.
So that anything you say, I want to make sure that,
If you don't want to answer that.
Yeah,
please don't.
I'm gonna answer that at this point in time, but it will be.
I'm going to assume silence is an acceptance of, and that there are no additional nominations to be made. Seeing silence, nominations are now closed.
I'm sorry, you just closed it, but I wanted to make sure I'm not nominated for vice chair.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me.
When I,
You were also nominated as vice chair by Member Horn in her original.
So you decline that and accept.
yeah, I'm sorry, when I was like, oh yeah, that's fine, that was my, I declined. Sorry, that was not
But you
very.
accepted it.
So Member Jordan has declined nomination as vice chair, but continues to accept nomination as treasurer. Member Dancy accepts the nomination for vice chair. I do accept the nomination for chair. So one last time, silence is no additional nominations coming from the floor. All right, hearing silence, nominations are closed.
So I have that there is only one nominee for chair, and as presiding officer Trimble. There are 2 nominations for vice chair. One is presiding officer Trimble and one is Miss Dancy, and then 1 nomination for Miss Jordan for treasurer. So 2 could be done by acclamation, and that would then remove presiding officer Trimble from qualifying for vice chair, which would then mean Miss Dancy by acclamation would be vice chair. I'm not certain that a vote is necessary
Okay.
with just the order of operations.
Okay, I would like for the board to, by acclamation, state that the slate as enumerated by Miss Wilson, with myself as being chair, Miss Dancy as being the vice chair, and Miss Jordan as being the treasurer, is on record as the determination of this board. If you are in favor of such a slate, please acclaim by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone who would like to say no?
I do oppose. I know
Right.
there's no other nominations, but yeah.
I appreciate it, Ms. Grant. So do let the record show, it is 6-1, for the slate. And Ms. Grant, I genuinely appreciate the perspective and the conversation. And what I want to state to you specifically, but to the entire board, is that I am committed to, transparency, openness, and ensuring that we have a board that can build trust in the community, and that I'm committed to that, working together. And that if there does come at any point in the future in which that appears to be in question, I take my responsibilities very seriously to be more about the success of this board than about being the chair of this board. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So with that,
We have a motion to adjourn.
I was going to say, with that, we have essentially a conclusion of the business. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Hi.
Are there any who are opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned until our next meeting, which will occur on, Ms. Wilson, would you please remind me that it's going to be?
Friday, September,
Thursday. No, Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, you're right, Friday, sorry.
no, I love, I be accountable. Friday, September 12th at 9 a.m. and the location will be determined
Let us know.
based on Mr. Shagog's
Yep.
investigation of the Met Center.
And mine of 10:50.
Yep.
And you will be sending.
I will send a calendar hold and then I will create a list, just a schedule of the meetings.
All right.
Sure, very good. Good.
Thank you, everybody.
Great job. See you all later.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
All right, bye, Avi.